Dear guests, now that we're all seated, we're about to start another essential session, which is Paywaves and Beyond. Is the future cashless? Please welcome the moderator of this session, Ugne Borchienne, Group CEO at Payable. Ugne, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Hello, that's better. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's an honor to be here with such an esteemed panel. It's my third year actually moderating and talking about payments, which I'm very excited to see if there's anything that changed from the last time that we discussed. Let's start from the sort of short introductions from the panelists, so that you kind of set a little bit the theme and the space of what we're going to be talking about and what kind of experts. We have experts from the infrastructure layer, so we have Mastercard, we have payment service providers, we have cross-border payment also options. So let's do the rounds of introduction, and then we delve into what the payments are all about these days. Please, Johan.
Thank you, Ugne. It's really a pleasure to be here today amongst this panel. So my name is Johan Marnet. I'm responsible for establishing Nuvei in the Middle East and Africa. So developing the brand and establishing us from a sales perspective, business developing, and making sure that we bring some of the technology, the capabilities, and the global products and services that we offer here in this region.
We'll get there, no worries. It's the panel is long.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm very happy to be here. My name is Zoran Radovanovic. I'm CEO of BrainRock DFC. We are an international payment company focusing mainly on cross-border payments, servicing mid to large international B2B clients, I would say, focusing on border multi-currency accounts and wires. That's the main goal.
Dina?
Let's see. Oh, it works.
It does. See, the women know how to do it.
Well,
I'm better with the Hoover.
my job at Mastercard, I lead innovation and experience for the EMEA region, so I kind of have to know how technology works. As a part of my role, innovation is a huge aspect of what we do. And how do we look forward into the emerging technologies that are coming in? And that's why I loved this panel topic so much. And thank you for including me. Can the future really be cashless? And I'm really excited to dive into it.
Yeah, so let's do that. Thank you so much, guys, for the introductions. And I think what is interesting to start with, since we are in the location that we are currently, let's talk a little bit about the MENA region specifically. We see the growth in the payment space, and it is growing very fast in other regions. And Europe is, kind of predominantly pioneering quite a lot of innovation and new payment, options. And there's improvements in the faster payments and instant payments. What is happening in the MENA region? And since we have both of you guys, you, Dina, from Mastercard, and Johan as well, maybe you can see from your perspective where you see the MENA region. What is this really, being, developed currently, and what is sort of the glimpse on the payment infrastructure, and how it's different actually from other regions as well. So it's kind of broad, but please pick out what you would like to focus, and I'm sure that the audience will be more than happy to hear. Please, Johan or Dina, go.
Ladies first.
So the region, I think we can all agree, has grown exponentially, right? But I think if we were to look at it specifically from a Forex perspective, we're dealing with markets that have incredibly volatile currencies, geopolitical situations that have constantly been at the background as businesses and enterprises look to invest here in the region, right? What's been amazing, though, is aside from that, you have robust regulators, jurisdictions that are really looking to bring in fintechs, bring in paytechs, bring in that international business, hub, especially here in Dubai, that has really allowed us, at least for decades, to build that infrastructure with ease and great partnerships from multiple governments, multiple other digital players as well. And I think if I was to look at really the journey that we have come through, I mean, I remember my father-in-law. He was the head of a treasury of a local bank here, and I remember sitting in his office over 10 years ago, and he was making phone calls and putting in paper orders to do forex, right? And let's think of that was not a too distant future, and so look at that evolution now, how far it's changed. Digital platforms, mobile apps, and the ability to now do these things with digital payments powered by the likes of Mastercard technology is just an amazing trajectory that we have reached. And so I can only think from the future forward perspective, MENA is at such a great position to leapfrog into new technologies. You talked about Europe and the jurisdictions that have been happening there, but I think we're learning from that and moving ahead at a really great pace.
Very good. Please, John.
I think to complement what Dina was saying, I think a great way to see it is the affluence of businesses, international businesses or global businesses that are coming, establishing themselves here in the UAE or in other parts of the MENA region. And what kind of support they want to get. Previously, in the MENA region, it was a very local market, local businesses targeting local region, etc. Now you have international merchants, you have international businesses, global businesses coming here, wanting to establish in this region as well as reach out to other parts of the world. And I think this is really a reality, and this is what's also help the region to accelerate its adoption into fintech, payment, cross-border currencies, and etc. Without mentioning cryptocurrency, of course.
Yeah, we will do that. I'm sure that this point will come up sooner or later on the panel discussion. I do have to agree that that I think there is certain lag in the region in itself, but I think the progression that we see is pretty immense, and it's good that that also the international businesses, which I will translate so that's what you guys are saying, so the international businesses are actually recognizing that that is a big, huge potential, but also. So what do you see as a real actual payment options and payment methods that are prevalent in the region? So if you talk about Europe, it's it's very easy to say we have cards, we have open banking, we have even though that there's great regulation all around in all of the separate states. What do you see as emerging, let's say, payment options in the region itself? Is there open banking? Is open banking progressing? Anything that you sort of can shine light from? Also, some initiatives maybe from Mastercard, from real-time processing as well. How do you tackle the obstacle of the separation between the region as well?
So, in terms of new payment methods, for the longest time, it was the card, and the card, and the card. And we've had to definitely diversify and build multi-payment rails and look for convenience, look for efficiency and speed. So that's where real-time payments kind of came in. Cross-border was always a huge part of our business. It was the ethos of our business, right? And I think, this is still an incredibly relevant and continuing developing space. But I think from a new payment methodology perspectives, I'm really excited about new definitions of assets. So you have things that are coming up now, central bank digital currencies.
Nice.
So here in the UAE, for example, within a few years, we could be seeing the e-dirham, and that will open, especially from a forex perspective, an entirely new asset class of value to trade. In addition to what we're used to today, like crypto and money. But further on to that, ESG has become such a top of mind concern for many governments out there, and now you're going to have governments think through, how do I incentivize my citizens, maybe through something like solar credits, and then that's another value asset class. And then data and data exchange, which was again a big part of the Forex business, but we haven't really found a way to monetize data. We haven't really figured out a way to how we can exchange data and be a data owner and controller, me as a consumer. So these new assets that we today consider valuable are actually going to start being something that we can trade, something that we can tokenize and have it interoperable and be able to kind of exchange them and maybe even, let's say, store them in the same way you guys have your credit card on Apple Pay. So that is really, if I was to look very far out, maybe in the next 5 to 7 years, these would be the new payment use cases that I think would be really interesting.
Very nice. So Johan, tell me, is card still king?
So I was going to say, maybe we need to look at the way payments is going on a short, medium, and long term. I think on a short term, yes, card is still king. Enhanced card, it's what's working today. Apple Pay, Google Pay. These are the sort of technology that we're all used to. This is what we want. If today we go somewhere, we go on a website and they don't have this kind of technology, we're all like, we're a little bit frustrated. So definitely card, Apple Pay, Google Pay are some of the alternative payment methods. But what we can further do is segregate the alternative payment methods per region, because it's a very complex region. For example, if you go to Saudi, it's a very different landscape in terms of payment and how it's working than it is here. If you go to Saudi, you have MADA, you have local scheme requirements, you have different alternative payment methods and everything else. So how do you navigate all of those things, and how do you see this from a sort of short, medium, and long term? It's, how, as a provider of Forex or targeting those regions, you should be looking at.
Okay, cool. And since we're talking about international businesses, and one way or another you come to cross-border payments, right? So so when you set up shop and and you have to move money one way or another, what sort of key challenges that exist in the region? And maybe Zoran, as an expert of this, you can shine some light from your perspective.
Well, yes, exactly. And I was following up what Dina and Johan were saying, and I will just flash back on that one. That last decade, Dina was right. There have been a lot of technology improvements, from apps, mobile apps, e-bankings, whatever, fintechs. And we came into the stage that, in general, it's not like 10 years ago in terms of technology, but it's not like 10 years ago in terms of the client education. We are dealing now with the clients that are extremely educated. What was not the case maybe a decade ago, when you find the app and then you download to see if it's working or not. Now, sure, app is working. The question is what you can do and what you can achieve with this app. And if we compare MENA to Europe, MENA is the world. Died. It's okay. So MENA is the world because look at us here. We are sitting in Dubai, 4 different nationalities, coming from 4 different countries. Let's see, if we are in Rome today, and if it's 4 panelists, I bet 3 will come from Italy. So if we talk about the cross-border, going back to your question, if we talk about the cross-boarding payments, this is the place to be. I'll give you one statistics from our company. If we talk about the European Union payments, SEPA payments, from 100 payments, 60 are within Europe and 40 are international. If we talk about the UAE, from 100 payments, 90 are international and 10 are local. So we are here at the beginning of something new, in terms of payments, in terms of cross-border payments. And that news starts here in Dubai, in MENA region in general.
And do you see also how? So I mean, it's a good development in a way, and it's clear that that this is the direction that is going. But do you see any challenges also in that, and how companies can also operate in such a complex environment where you're dealing essentially. Because in Europe, if you say we have SEPA instant, it's kind of borderless in a way. So your thoughts on that?
Yes, exactly. I mean, the future is in combining the fintech technology, connecting the APIs with the different payment rails. Like imagine being unable to live in Dubai and execute your payment through SEPA. Or living in Dubai and execute your faster payment in UK. And if you're UK expat, you can pay your bills or whatever in a second. And this is doable from Dubai. This is doable today. Thanking to technology, thanking to the regulators, I have to say. Regulators that do take care of their clients, not regulators that are sending you an email and then when you respond, they don't come back for 6 months. Which obviously we all have cases somewhere else. But here, regulator takes care of the businesses they have approved. And actually, the first one who wants you to be successful in this country is the regulator. And that's very important.
Very important indeed. And if we come back a little bit, to the question from the discussion that we have, and I think where it's really leading, that you can really feel it here. That that the payments are really cashless. We're talking about that everything is getting more and more digital. And actually, the statistics are very clear that specifically in the region, the growth per year is almost more than 15%, moving towards more and more digital payments, which is a great track record. And it's actually, even if you consider other countries and other jurisdictions, it's actually slightly lower than that. But let's touch about the most boring, maybe, or most interesting part is because it's kind of complex. It's about the regulatory challenges, right? Because we're talking, for the audience, that operates, as you guys all mentioned and touched upon, in a highly regulated environment from both sides, actually, from the type of services that can be provided, to the clients, and also the payments themselves have a lot of restrictions and regulatory also let's say issues in terms of how can they be consumed. What do you see in the region in this aspect, and maybe some things you want to share with the audience on this topic, or maybe some challenges as well that the audience needs to think about when operating in a regulated business and in such a highly regulated environment. Johan, I see that you're already ready to jump in.
I think regulations are good. Contrarily to what most people would say, it's good to have regulations. We are a heavily regulated industry. And the reason for that is because, we're dealing with money and people, and this is important. So the great thing is Dubai or the UAE or the region, they have a tendency to copy a little bit what's being done outside globally. And I think this gives us, yes, this makes us a little bit behind in terms of where we are in terms of regulations, but at the same time, it helps the region pick out the best regulation to implement to facilitate the implementation of having people here operating global businesses, making cross-border payments, helping fintechs to grow here, and customers, and businesses, and etc. So it makes it a great platform for businesses operating in a, of course, heavily regulated market, however, allowing them to still grow.
Very nice. Dina, maybe something you want to add as well on that topic?
Yeah. So over the years, I love what you said, Zoran, because you really have noticed that these are visionary leaders, visionary strategies, and you can't have mediocre conversations with them anymore. It really you have to show the value in the partnership. You have to show value in the technology and in having the right level of, regulations that is still protecting citizens, protecting, the market, but also open to fintechs and foreign investment and creating that great environment
Hard
and
balance to
landscape.
keep.
Yes, it's a hard balance to keep, but you have definitely markets here who are very ahead of the game. You have, Saudi's 2030 vision. You have Bahrain. You have the UAE. So you have many markets that, we are hand in hand in policy negotiations. Showcasing really where we kind of, we can leverage the rails that we've created, the trust that we've created. But it's also really challenging because, they have their own national interests and market to protect, right? So I think the biggest challenges that we are dealing with is like localization strategies and how that affects data and settlements and payments. So we've really kind of had to re-strategize. How do we still partner and bring in the value that we can bring by seeing and touching transactions, bringing the compliance around AML and anti-money laundering and CTF. Those are huge concerns to any jurisdiction, any government, and so it's that global expertise that that we've built for decades, the analytics behind it that I think has really allowed us to have such strong partnerships with jurisdictions.
Very nice, and actually, I think it's a very valid point that you made. Localization is so important, but for businesses who are operating, internationally, so you have to kind of, take into account all of the local restrictions and requirements. I think this is where regulation, comes into play, and I really like the fact that you mentioned that, ultimately the regulation from the government side and from the regulators, is to protect the end user as well, which is very important. So if you look at the chain of things, there's a lot of players at stake and a lot of things to balance for regulators and for the companies also operating in this environment. But let's talk about maybe a little bit more, going into a little bit more of a practical side. I always like to ask a question on the panel about what would you say for a company that is an international business, came to UAE, to establish themselves? What do they need to know for the region? What are sort of your advice and maybe your sort of practical things that you can say? Okay, what do you need to look into apart from the kind of the usual suspects, the regulation and all of this kind of things? What is your sort of outcome and take for the audience to think about? None takers, wow.
I don't mind going first, but I'm sure we have a lot to say about this. For my part, I think the really important thing is to identify providers that can provide support. Relationship is key in this region. The people element, this is a region that has many nationalities, cultures, and everything else. When I first came in this region 5 years ago, it's something that I had to get my head around. So I would definitely say find your feet, understand the culture, the people, identify providers that can help you understand those things and help you navigate the landscape, the complex landscape. It's a great region to live in, and there's a good quality of life. So it's come, have fun, and build businesses here, definitely.
Well, what else to say? In this country, you might not have the best technical solution, or you might not have the best banking partner at the beginning when you start. But if you have a knowledge and you have a trust with your clients, that's the key. And transparent partnership relationship with both, with the regulator on one side, and I will give you an example, and with your clients. So when we got here, our first clients was obviously multinational companies converting funds and paying their obligations abroad. So we had a case, I will give you an example, with a massive car dealer in Dubai, paying to Europe for Lamborghinis and Porsches, like
good problems to have in life.
$4 or $5 million per quarter. How it looks like at that time was like he goes to the bank, he exchanged the dirham to euro, and then he swifts the euro to the dealer in Europe, and it takes approximately 3 to 4 days, depending if he exchanged the funds before noon or afternoon. And then we invented the wheel by exchanging funds in 10 minutes and paying SEPA in the same hour, because we were able to pay SEPA. But what I'm trying to say, on this market, people are inventive, and our clients ask us, can we do that? On this market, clients are educated, and they know exactly what they want, and they know what they want to achieve. What is not always the case in some other jurisdictions, I have to say. So honestly, for us, coming to Dubai, it's the best investment we did. And I'm very happy we are here.
So your advice is kind of to listen to your client and they tell you what they want, right? It's actually it's a very valid point, especially in payments, because you look at different regions, you look at different countries, and you have to really realize what is the demand from people that actually pay for the services. Actually, I want to switch the question around a little bit, to because. Cards, I have to say, cards is one of the things that I started in my payments career in, and I would just really love to hear, maybe from you in terms of Mastercard, perspective. How do you see the card growth in the region? Is it stable? Is it kind of and the use cases, of course, with all of the digital wallets that have so many apps, you have so many do you see that is a continuing trend? And because it kind of also comes down to the discussion we're having, because the end demand comes from the end users, right? So if you listen to what the users are saying, but what is in Mars' perspective the outlook for the card?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
So yes, cards are growing, and I think COVID was a huge accelerator to that. I think also other emerging technologies such as tokenization and having contactless, having the ecosystem of the infrastructure ready, right? It was the infrastructure that went hand in hand that when a huge epidemic hit, it was having that contactless network that was overnight. Everybody went and just enjoyed that tap to pay experience. And so suddenly then there was a pivotal shift in consumer behavior, and people who predominantly were doing cash-based payments or didn't have digital banking needed to get that to order their groceries, needed to get that to pay for their goods and services. And so I wouldn't, though, link it to the card, the physical card. What grew was digital payments,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
And so that is, it was the underlying technology behind the card that grew. And it will continue to grow. And I think if I was to circle back to this great advice, it's really not just know your customer, know the end user. We always used to kind of position our company as, we're a B2B, to C company. So you, the Mastercard cardholder, you're not our customer. It's the bank who issued you the card that's our customer. But we had to shift that thinking. We had to shift the mindset to say, no. We are a B2C2B company. So we have to first think about how are you going to use that card and what are the needs that you need to have solved for. And then we've served the interest of our actual customer. Sure. And so it's, and when I say know them, actually try to do the experience in their shoes. A great example is, we were trying to solve for a cross-border payments platform for the migrant workers here, right? I am not a migrant worker. I don't know really what are their challenges, what are their pain points. And so we, instead of doing what, typically one do in a corporate enterprise is, we would commission a study. We would
pay Gartner 100,000
You said it, not me. But, and then, we would design a product thinking that's what would solve their needs. But no, go talk to them. You would find such amazing insights. And for us, it was realizing that they actually had to shop physically going from one exchange house to another exchange house to another exchange house to see which one had the best rates for their home country, to then stand in line at that exchange house and send their remittances back home. So that's what got us thinking, like, okay, so maybe we need to build a platform that, you know, does that digitally for them. And so this is really what I mean by know the end user.
No, and it's really truly, I think, visible in a lot of the markets that, you know, the COVID was kind of a great accelerator in a way, at least for payment side, to make things, you know, more digital. And I think, you know, the point of, you know, the panel discussion we're talking about, you know, cash versus, you know, digital payments. And I think it's very clear, you know, that the acceleration was bifold, probably 5-7 years, you know, ahead to what it normally probably would have been, right? Because the demand was there, the need, you know, was there, and it's really good that also from the infrastructure layer, you know, someone, you know, like Mastercard, you know, and the card schemes are really thinking about what is the true underlayer of those payments. Because besides that, of course, you know, the end, you know, card user will not be able to utilize it in the way that, you know, it's done, and it's also our job as a payment service provider to make sure that we create that middle layer as well, and we, you know, transpose it also, you know, to clients who need it. So, because our time is kind of slightly, you know, wrapping up, and I want to have sort of one of the wild card, you know, questions.
Is the future cashless?
Yeah, well, I think we covered that pretty much already. Actually, I want to ask you, what do you want to talk about in payments? So we touched a little bit about crypto or anything that, you know, you want to say. We talked about CBDCs, which is also, you know, very interesting. Something that maybe that you think is worthwhile mentioning in terms of the, you know, payments and kind of important. Maybe crypto, Johan?
I think there's a great deal happening in crypto. I think this year will be really a ramp up of, you know, what the region is doing, especially with Vara starting issuing licenses and a very long list of providers wanting to build exchanges, crypto exchanges here. So I think crypto is here to stay, that's for sure. It's a great way of helping businesses to move money around globally in a semi-safe way, I would say. The good thing is there are providers today who provide the guarantees to help, you know, facilitate those transactions in crypto. And I think most businesses, especially within the industry, should think about their cryptocurrency strategy.
Cool. Zoran, maybe you want to add something?
Yeah, I fully agree with Johan on crypto. I think crypto is existing. It's not something that is just happening as a hype. I'll give you one statistic. 2 years ago, the total volume of payments in crypto with us was 5%. Last year was 37%. So we did nothing different. And we have to admit, and we have the obligation to speak to the regulators, banks, and give them this information. Obviously, transparency is important. If we talk about AML and MLRO in compliance, that's the other stuff. But I don't see anything different if you are paying through wire transfer or you are sending to someone crypto. Even it's faster and cheaper, probably, to go through crypto. What is important for me to say that in order, you know, we live in a changing world. A lot of things are happening last couple of years, and main thing we need in order to progress is transparency. Everywhere, on every field. If we talk about the banking, we talk about the cards, we talk about the crypto. We need a transparency in order to understand what Dina was saying, to understand the client need. And then based on this understanding of the client need, to define the product. And this is what I see as the key element for this year, that we all here have the obligation to put down to the table.
Oh, look, it's the way that I see crypto in general. For me as a payment service provider, for me it's just another payment method. But you are another payment method that could be actually global or cross-border and whatever it is. But you touched a valid point that that it has to be secure, because we talk about regulation, and we talk about the adoption of any payment method will not be successful until all of the aspects and all of the sides of the security from end user to the company is actually transcribed. So until that happens, even though that we see some trends growth, I think it's very hard to say that it can only stay if all of those aspects are actually taken into account. And maybe Dina, I don't know, you want to add also something on that? Or
I think Zoran has something to add.
Yeah. No. Exactly what you said. Exactly what you said. Certain things needs to happen, but we just define how we are happy with the development of our technology. So if today we can sit here and I can watch on my car on a parking lot, then I'm very sure that we do have technology that can define from one wallet funds going into the other wallet, And in today's world, you might have a mobile device and not have any social media, like me, for example. And if I talk to my friends about last night game results, first thing that I will have on Google when I go will be the football results. So I think we are at the stage that we have to be proud of the technology we have built. We have to follow the rules, as Johan was saying, the regulations, as you were mentioning. That's fine. But let's work on these regulations. And let's globalize the regulations, because we live in a city with how many nationalities? 218 nationalities lives in this place, and we are all one. We are all called local expats. So if we are local expats, then we can make this world being local expats as well,
Look, technology has a tendency to grow faster than the regulators, and that's a very common, I think, illness for a lot of jurisdictions. And the regulator is not always the fastest, to catch up. But let's hope that really happens, and that bridge, between the technological advance and the regulator, aspect will balance itself out, and then the growth is even faster in this case. Any takeaways from you, Dina, as well?
Just to build on your point, I like to think of Dubai as the incubator for the region, right? The regulation, we are the first country globally to have a minister of AI, right? And this is the reality that no matter what technology comes and booms, you have a ripe market here where the regulator is ready to step in and make sure it's done correctly. So I think security of all this is a huge aspect, because as we become more digitally connected, as we enable new experiences, new assets to trade, you have to think of the security that needs to still work in the back end, and we need to leverage technology so that it works almost invisibly, so that we've removed the friction from the process, and we've removed the OTPs, and we've removed the multi-factor authentication, but we've used all the data and intelligence that surround the individual to facilitate those experiences. So I think trust and security has to go hand in hand with the digital transformation.
I completely agree, and I think seamless is the only way forward, and this is exactly the demand from the end consumer and the convenience that you see. But seamless means, as you mentioned, security, regulation, technology, everything has to come into play. So kind of to wrap up, I think I think the thoughts are pretty clear where the experts are looking, but we have almost a minute and a half. If there's any questions from the audience, we're more than happy to take. If you don't and you're shy, you can always talk to us after the panel discussion as well. But if not, please go ahead. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds. No? None takers? Okay, no problem. So thank you very much for the panelists, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.